This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community with more than 13,000 classes taught by professionals in design, photography, and much more. You can learn many useful skills to advance your career or just have fun. Click the link in the description to get unlimited access to Skillshare for free for 2 months. If you like the service, then stay for around $10 a month or cancel with absolutely no obligation. Click the link in the description to get started.
Hello everyone and welcome to my After Effects tutorial. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to create the cinematic style Plexus glitch title design in Adobe After Effects. I'm going to keep this tutorial very beginners friendly, so even if you're working with Plexus for the first time, you can follow along, learn a lot of things and have a good time. I'm also going to show you a few glitches techniques inside After Effects to complement the title design that you have created. So this way, if you're creating your own projects and your own style of titles, you can still make it awesome by adding some glitches to it. So I hope you guys enjoy and let's get started. Now I would like to say that awesome people, I'm working with Plexus 3. But if you haven't had the chance of upgrading your Plexus, or if you don't have Plexus 3, you can work with Plexus 2 on this. Okay, so let's get started, awesome people. So I've already created my composition over here. I'm going to double click on it, and this is a 720p composition. You can create 4K or Full HD if you want, but I'm going to work with 720p for the tutorial. I'm going to create a new solid by pressing Ctrl Y. I'm going to rename it to Plexus. Go here to FX and presets, type in Plexus and drag and drop it to the solid that we just made. Superb. In Plexus 3, guys, we get this new window called Plexus Object Panel. This makes it a little easier for me to navigate into different parts of Plexus. In Plexus 2, what used to happen was we used to have this huge list which made it a little difficult for me to navigate and work in different parts of the Plexus to achieve the desired result. This makes it a little bit better, and you'll see me use this in just a moment. So the first thing that we'll do in order to create this is to first create a shape to create our full design, right? And I'm going to go to geometry, add geometry, go to primitives. This way we have added a simple cube and we have added some points to this. So the first thing I would like to do is I would like to rename this, because as you can see, these huge names, they don't help anyone. So I'm going to create, I'm going to select it over here, hit the enter key to get into the renaming mode, and I'm going to type in cube. I'm going to press the down button to go to the second part of Plexus, that is a points renderer. I'm going to click on it, I'm going to type in points, right? So this way I have renamed this. Now if I save my project, you will see that it updates over here, right? And again, as you can see, those huge names were really difficult, and this is just a little bit easier for me to work in, right? Next we'll go to renderer, and I'm going to take in lines. And the first thing that I'll do is I'll go to opacity over distance, and I'm going to create a curve like this. This is just to reduce the intensity of the lines, so you can do that. And in thickness over distance, I'm going to make a curve like this. So this is perfect for me. Next I'm going to go to, and one thing I would like to say, awesome people, is that I'm working on a very small resolution. The numbers that I'm going to use over here may be very different to what you may have to use in your project. So depending if you're working on 4K or Full HD project, your numbers are going to be different. So I highly recommend you guys experimenting with Plexus and the different numbers here. Okay, so in some cases maybe this may not get you the thin lines effect. You may want to reduce the line thickness, but in this case line thickness by default works good for me, so I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, and again I'm going to rename this. So as you can see, this huge name doesn't help me. Select it over here, hit the enter key, type in lines. Great. I'm going to go to add renderer, and I'm going to go to triangulation. Firstly I'm going to rename this. So as you can see, it's so big that the name doesn't even fit over here. Hit the enter key, type in tries. And as you can see right now, it's just blowing out and it's not looking very nice. So I'm going to reduce the maximum distance from 100 to 70. This way it's a little less intense, it looks a lot better, and this is functional. Okay, superb. This is great. Next I'm going to go to effector, and I'm going to take noise. Now the way I like to work is that whenever I'm adding effectors in Plexus 3, I like to give it a name with an underscore at the beginning. So I'm going to type in underscore noise. This, what's going to happen is, in the object panel, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to identify the effector and the renderer, right? So this way it's a little bit visually helpful to me to identify an effector. So I'm going to click on this, and as you can see, when you're working, this layer panel is going to fill up with different things inside your Plexus. And as you can see, it's very easier for you to just select this and to work on it accordingly. In Plexus 2, everything used to be opened out like this, and therefore it was very difficult to work with all these different parameters. So I'm going to click on this noise, and I'm going to increase this noise amplitude to a very high number. So what it's basically going to do is it's basically going to deform the base shape that we have. So if I keep it to 0, you'll see we have a cube. If I start increasing it, you'll see that the shape just starts breaking apart. So I'm going to take this number, I'm going to dial in 2000. This way it's going to be a big scatter, but this is exactly what we want. Now the one thing that I think is a little missing from our effect is that the lines are very little. So I'm going to go back to lines, and I'm going to increase this maximum distance from 100 to 150. Like I said before, guys, these numbers may be different for you because you may be working on a different resolution with different settings, different noise amplitudes, etc. So 150 looks good to me. It looks more like a network now instead of just just a few lines. So 150, I think I'll go for 140. Superb, this looks good. Next, awesome people, I'm going to create a new camera into my scene. Now the idea here, awesome people, is that I'm using Plexus to create this huge 3D world, and then I'm going to use my camera to navigate inside this 3D world. So it's going to give us this this nice movement effect over here, right? So in order to create this movement effect, we'll first need to create all this different 3D space inside After Effects, right? And then we'll move our camera through the network. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this camera, and I'm going to create another one. So I'm using a preset of 28 millimeters, and everything is set to default. Okay, superb. Next, awesome people, we need to set up an angle where everything is going to look superb. Now I know a lot of people who would use the camera tool from After Effects to decide the camera. So they'll hit the C key and go to this unified camera tool, and then they'll just start moving it like so. But guys, this is a big mistake. Please don't do this, okay? And I'll tell you why. I was recently working on a project. This was my demo project where I had to create a full title sequence using about 10 different Plexus layers. Right now the quality is a little bad because it's a demo project, but avoid that. What I'm trying to say is, when you're trying to create a full title sequence where you're trying to do it for a short film or something, camera positioning is very important, and it's very important to do the animation in a sense that you're not spoiling it for your future, right? So if you want to make some tweaks to it, and if you do your tweaks, you're not messing up the entire animation. So what I would say is, do not use this unified camera tool right now and to set up your camera angles, because this is going to give you a lot of problems, right? If you're trying to create a full title sequence with Plexus, this unified camera tool is not the way to go. Instead, what I would say is, let me just delete this camera just for safety, and we'll create a new camera. The shortcut is Control Shift Alt C, 28 millimeters. And in order to set up your camera angle, what I would say is go to Plexus and then go to Cube. So I'm going to select this on this cube. Go to Transform inside the cube, and you're going to have a lot of different rotation and position options which are going to help you get into that perfect look. It's a little bit difficult, I understand that, guys, and I get it, but this is a much better way of of positioning and getting that perfect camera angle instead of using the camera tool. If you preserve your camera tool right now, your animation tomorrow is going to be superb. You have to trust me on this. So again, we're going to face a little bit of problems in rotating this, in understanding which camera tool on which settings work the best, but I'm going to zoom in into this network a little bit over here. See if we can place it like this. And now you really have to think on where your camera angle works. Okay, so for example, I think I'm going to choose this, or maybe I can go back into noise and increase the noise amplitude a little bit more. So I'll increase this to 2500. Yeah, there you go. We're having a little more space now, and this way everything works in our favor. So go back to cube, In transform, I'm going to position it, position this like this. I think this is going to look good, and superb. This is looking good to me. Now, awesome people, we need to enable the the depth of field in order to give it that proper effect. I'm going to go to camera. I'm going to press the A key 2 times. So AA, depth of field, switch it on. And now nothing is going to happen because we haven't switched it on in Plexus. So select your layer, go to this final option Plexus, and switch on or put a tick mark on required for DOF. So put a check mark over here, and in depth of field option from off, put it to camera settings. So this way we are having nice depth of field. Now one thing that I'm seeing missing from this full awesome design is that lines are again a little less. So we'll go back to lines, we'll increase the maximum distance to 175. Again, these numbers are going to be different for you. This is just my, what I feel is important for my design, right? I'll take it to 200. Superb. And one thing you can see is right now that the full effect is very choppy and not all that great in quality. The reason is we are working with a very low quality Plexus right now. So if you want to look at the final output, go to your layer, go to Plexus, and over here in render quality there's going to be 1x. Change it to 6x. Like at least for the final export you need at least 6x or plus. Okay, so this is good for working and just seeing how it looks, but when you're doing a final export, make sure it's at 6x. So we'll just switch it to 6x, and as you can see over here in the background with all the blurs, things are a little bit better. If we switch it to 1x, you can see choppy scatter problems, right? But it's okay, we can work with this for now and see how things turn out. Okay, so this looks good. Now we need to increase and decrease things in the camera. So we'll go to camera. If you cannot see anything, then hit the A key 2 times, and in this focus distance and aperture need to be adjusted. So I'll change the aperture down to 5, right, or maybe to say 7.5, and then I'll adjust the focus distance as per my requirement. So it really depends on what you want to keep in focus. So as you can see right now, with a very low focus distance, my foreground is in focus, right? You can really see over here that these lines that are comparatively closer to the camera are in focus. If I increase it, now the mid plexus or the mid things that are in the middle ground are in focus, and if I increase it even more, then the background is in focus and the foreground and midground is in blurred out of focus, right? So it depends on what you want, or what you could do is you can switch on the motion, the depth of field, and then go back to Plexus cube and then start adjusting and looking for different angles. That is also very possible, right? So you can start doing this if you have a good machine and just see how things look, right? So you can zoom out, zoom in, and just see how things look to you. I'm going to rotate it just a bit like so. And guys, again, you have to understand that I cannot spend a lot of time looking and trying to get the best angle possible for the tutorial, because I'm on a strict time limit over here, right? But when I was creating the preview, I took my own sweet time. When I was working on my demo project, I took my sweet time to deliver good results to my clients. So if you're working for something, for your demo reel or for your short film or something, see to it that you're investing time into creating this effect, right? So this is awesome. We are creating a good effect. You can also click on this center XY, click on this guy, and you can move this anchor point guy over here, and things will move just a bit faster, right? So you can move things here. Alright, awesome people, after a lot of experimentation and just messing around with all these different settings in the cube category, I think I'm gonna settle on this look. So if I increase the aperture from 7.5 to 10, I'll get a better blur setting. And again, right now I can understand that this looks very choppy, but remember, we are working on a very low X setting. So if we go to Plexus, render quality is at 1x, we can switch it to 6x, and things look a little bit better, right? So we can position our text over here or our logo over here, and things would look really well. So I'm gonna take my text tool now, And as you can see, we still haven't done any animation, because what we are trying to do is we're trying to create a still frame, just an image where there is a Plexus design, a text, and then we'll start animating it later, right? So this is basically doing storyboarding. In a sense, we are taking that approach that we are storyboarding everything, we are seeing that the stills work, and when the stills look good, then we add animation into it, okay? So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to take my text tool, I'm going to type in something, I'm going to type in DNA, just like the preview. I'm using Montserrat font, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Go for semi-bold, increase it, and DNA returns or something, I'm just going to say part 2. Decrease it down to light, make it like this, right? And again, you have to understand that we took the time and we did all our rotation and camera angle settings using the cube from Plexus. So now we can animate the camera very easily. This is going to pay off later on, trust me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that part 2, I'm going to push it up over here. And again, guys, since I'm working with 6x quality, you can see that the things are slowing down a little. So I'll go back to Plexus, and make it 1x, right? Or maybe if things are really slow for you, you can switch off the motion, the depth of field, and just work on the design like so. So I'm gonna go with part 2, see where it works, where it should be and stuff. So I'm gonna keep it to there for now, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my part 2, I'm going to parent it to DNA. So this way I just have to deal with DNA, with the position and everything, and part 2 is going to follow along, right? Superb. I'm going to go to camera, switch on the depth of field, and okay, so this looks good. Now we just can position the DNA part a little bit better, and I think this should work well. I'm going to keep it right there. Right, so it's readable, looks good. And now let's start. And yeah, we need to make this 3D, guys. So make this 3D, and you can see that it goes out of focus. Now the reason this just went out of focus is because in the Z space, this is not set up properly. Like, it's in the Z space where this guy is getting out of focus. So it's very easy to fix this. Select your main layer, or select both the layers if you're not parenting. Hit the P key for position, and then increase or decrease it depending on the result. So as you can see, if I bring it closer to the camera, the blur is going away, right? So if I bring it closer, there you can see the blur is definitely going away, guys. So at -734, this is where the text needs to be in order for it to be in proper focus. But we have lost the full positioning and the full scale. So what we can do is now we can compensate for bringing the text closer to the camera by decreasing its scale. So if I'm going to decrease its scale like this, bring it back over here, now you can see now it's in 3D space, it's been made into 3D layers, and it's also back into its proper positioning, right? Something like that. Superb, guys. So we have definitely made progress. Now let's start animating. I'm going to create a new null object. And in the old school days, guys, when I was working on CS6 and CS5, we used to do it manually, where we used to create a camera, rename it to camera control, make it into a 3D layer, attach the camera to the null object. But now, no longer. We have an option. So just right click on camera, go to this camera settings, and create orbit null. If you do that, it's automatically going to create a null object for us. It's going to make it 3D. And the camera is going to be connected to it. And if you can see, it's been renamed well also. So camera, I like to call it camera controller. Superb. And again, like I said, since we haven't touched the camera at all for positioning and getting a camera angle, we can animate things very, very easily. What would have happened, awesome people, if you would have used the camera for camera angles, is that we would have moved things like this, right? But then when we have created the null object, it would have come in this disformed, position. And then if then you would have to orient it properly like so, right? And it would be a big headache to get all this done, right? Yeah, you can see this. Like, we basically are trying to point this blue line straight to us. So it's gonna take a lot of time. and just extra hard work being avoided at this point of time, right? So you can see how difficult it is to just get things right. Instead, if we instead of doing all of this, what we did was we made the smart choice and we worked with Plexus Cube. And so this way, when we create the camera, even when it's 3D, it's in this proper position, and now we can use it for doing all kinds of animation. Whether you want to go up, you can go up, you can go down, you can go left and right, and zoom in, zoom out very, very easily. So we're gonna do the classic zoom out like I've done in the preview, right? So I'm gonna zoom out. So let's do that. In order to do that, first we are going to go to 4 seconds. We'll hit the P key for camera null, start its animation for position. We'll move back in time, and then we're gonna take this Z value to a very high number, like so, right? Something like this. Cool. I'm gonna select both of these, or actually let's just go to 4 seconds one more time. Hit the R key for rotation, start the animation for Z rotation, move back in time, and then we'll add 1 revolution, right? Now if we select the layer, hit the U key for revealing its keyframes, select both the keyframes, hit the F9 key, right? If we hit the F9 key, it's gonna easy ease, select both of these, and we'll push him to the left like so, right? So now if we play this, right, things look interesting. So let's just play it in real time and see how things look. Okay, so I think 4 seconds is a little too much because, yeah, you can see guys that we are only moving in 1000 pixels ahead. In the preview, if I open this file up, you can see that in camera control, I was at least going 2000 pixels ahead. So if you want a very good speed, you'll need to push this a little bit ahead. Now, if you do this, you can see that now you just, there's nothing on screen and it looks very boring. Then you'll have to go back to your Plexus design, you have to go back to noise, and then you'll have to increase the noise amplitude for your Plexus to come to this region. You'll have to increase the lines and stuff. So you basically can do all of this. It's not a problem that you cannot do. You definitely can do, but things are going to be a little more time consuming, right? So you'll have to, again, sit down, increase the tries. Let's see if we can do that though. Right, so you can see now the tries are going to come in. So you'll have to do all of that, but I'm going to skip all of this because I want to show you guys the technique, and I want to get started with that. So we're moving ahead 1000 pixels, and I'll compensate that by decreasing the time of the animation. So we'll go to 3 seconds, hit the F9 key, go back to graph editor by clicking over here, select the end nodes, and then push it to the left, like so. Right, now if you play this, let's just see what kind of effect we have. Okay, so not bad guys. This looks good. Right? Awesome. Looks good. Next, what we'll do is we will switch on the motion blur on the Plexus layer, on these 2 text layers, and then switch on the motion blur for the composition. Now let's preview. Now you have to understand guys that since motion blur is being switched on, things are going to be a little power intensive. So the renders are going to take time, but the quality is going to be a lot better. So right now I can understand, yes, things look very choppy, things don't look the best right now, but things will look better very, very soon. Trust me on this. Okay, so if we preview this, okay, it looks good. I am loving this blur thing that we are having right now. So you can see this blur. So I guess you guys cannot see. So I'll go to Plexus, and just for this one time I'll increase it to 6x. You can see this blur that's there. We are seeing all these different blur effects. I think that looks really nice. And even the text layers, they are at front, they're not in focus, but later on they become in focus and looks awesome. So this is definitely a good title design. Now awesome people, let's add some more effects into this. I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. I'm going to call this CC. I'm going to go to, now in order to add a little color into this, what I would do is I would create a tint effect. Or actually, before getting into that, let's create a background first. I think I just forgot all about it. The background. I'll go to ramp. I'll add a ramp, a gradient ramp effect onto the background. And then zoom out a little bit. Go to the gradient. Swap colors. And what I'll do is I'll take this white color and I'll make it into a dark gray like so. This way what's going to happen is, now I at least have a rule that one of the colors is going to be black and then one has to be a light color. This way we can see where the lightness is coming from. If I go back to my preview, you can see over here the light shadows are over here, the light values are over here, and the dark is over here. So we'll do the same thing in the tutorial composition. Go to gradient ramp, make it into a radial ramp, and you can really see how it starts defining the light values. Light is very important, guys. You can see, then push the gradient end of ramp value over there. So this looks interesting. Now I'm going to go over here to FX and presets, type in tint, take it and apply it to the adjustment layer, the CC adjustment layer that we made, and this way we can add a little bit of color in our design. So I'm going to click on this map, white 2. Now make it into a nice blue like that. That looks good. And the problem is that I want my text layers to be white. So I'll take this adjustment layer and put it below my text layers. It's this way. It's going to look like this. I think it looks good. You can add curves and hue and saturation, and you can even use amount to tint to bring the effect down if you think that the color is a little too intense. So I'm going to try bringing it down to say 75 or say 50. I think 75 looks good. Superb. Next, awesome people, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. And this is just something that I recently learned. Actually, I learned this in, while I was creating the tutorial preview. And I'm going to call this optics. Now check this out. I'm going to go to FX and presets, type in optics compensation. It's going to be under the distort category. Apply it to the optics adjustment layer. And then we'll reverse lens distortion. Okay, put a check mark on this. And I'll increase the depth of field, or the field of view to 75. It's going to basically scratch out the full the full Plexus design that we have created. Decrease it down to 50. But now, awesome people, when I go to the optics adjustment layer, hit the T key for opacity, and if I bring down the opacity of it by like so, you'll see, and you have to see that your optics is below your CC layer, right? So this way you'll see that we are having a little bit of a glitch effect, right? You can see we're having some multiple Plexus effects like so. Oh yeah, one thing that you can do is you can create this optics composition on the CC layer, right? So this way you're having some double Plexus effects, but you're also having some double coloring effects. So I'm going to increase this to 100%. I'm going to give it a better color. I think this looks a little bit better. Put it to the right like so. And you can see now you're having a little more intense effects, right? Maybe decrease this down to just a bit. You'll have a nice distortion glitch effect, right? That looks quite interesting. So what I have done in the preview is I have actually animated the opacity of the CC, or I should just rename it to this FX adjustment layer. So I'm going to go to about 210. I'm going to hit the T key, animate, and I'll make this 80%. We don't want it to be a very extreme effect. 80%, move back in time, and I'll make this 0. So it's going to start with a black and white effect, right? And it adds, and as it moves to the title and to its final place, it's gonna start turning into blue. That's gonna look really killer, right? So as you can see, the color shifts into blue. That looks awesome. And since you are working on 6x, this is taking a little more time to render, but if I bring down the quality to 1x, things will be much faster. Alright, if I preview this, looks quite interesting. Right, and you have to remember that we are previewing this without the motion blur. So if I switch this on with motion blur, with all the blur effects, this is going to look really killer. So I did like a small preview render, and as you can see, this is how it looks. Right, so I think this looks quite nice. Of course, if you spend a little more time into this, you'll have a better design. And one thing that I feel is a little missing from our full animation is that there is no life in the Plexus. The Plexus is very still, and if you look at the preview, the Plexus is animating just a bit. Like the animation is very subtle, but it definitely adds a little more life into our Plexus. Right, so what you can do, or what I have done actually, is I've gone to Plexus. In noise, I have animated the noise details. I'll open this, and I'm going to change. I'm going to apply a small expression to noise evolution. So alt click on this, and alt click on the stopwatch for noise evolution. I'm going to type in time into 1 or time into 2. That's it. Simple as that. It's going to add a very subtle and a very killer animation. Now, since wait a sec, since I'm working, guys, I'll decrease this down to 1x. I'll switch on the motion blur, switch off the motion blur. So you'll see that there's some problems. You can see that there's some glitches in the tries. Like they're coming in, they're going off, they're snapping and they're joking, and it doesn't, look very nice. So you can see right at the end there's some joking over here, and the problem for that is in the tries section there's this calculation triangles distance every frame. Switch it to only one frame. So this is how it looks when there is a little bit more animation added into the Plexus, right? So compare it to the version where it had no animation in noise, compare it to the one that has now. So you can really see the animation on this side, on the Plexus over here, and it really looks good. So that is how you do it. And now let's go for one more final render. So I'm going to switch on the motion blur, take the Plexus to 6x, and then we'll see how this looks. So here's a small ramp preview of what we have created till now, and I think it looks really nice. I have switched on the motion blur. I am rendering on 6x quality, and I think it looks really nice. So with animation added, versus with no animation, I would definitely go for with animation. Next, take a look at what else can we do for making this thing even better. So we have yet to add a boxing layer. That's the quickest upgrade that we can do. So I'll create a new solid. I'm going to call this boxing. Hit the S key on this, break the link over here, and I'm going to change the second value to 80. Next, I'm going to go to blend mode and change it to stencil alpha. This way we are adding a nice letterboxing, making it a little more cinematic. I'm going to lock this boxing layer. Now if you have optical flares, you can use that in the preview video. I believe I have used it. There you go. There's my nice little flare. But if you want to stop here, you guys can definitely. This looks quite good. Now let's try to create some glitches. So you can add flares and it would be quite easy. Let me just show it to you. So I'll create a new solid. I'm going to call it flare. Go to Video Copilot, apply optical flares to it. I'm going to go to options, and I believe I went to motion graphics tab, and I worked with sector golden. I took this, click OK, and I changed it, and I'm going to change its blend mode firstly to add, bring it below the boxing layer, and then I changed its color by picking up a blue from here. Right, so it adds a nice effect, and I decreased its scale down to 50. So now you just have to animate the scale and the positioning. So I'll position it right there. I think that looks quite nice. So now you can just flicker it out, flicker it. I think I set the speed to 25 and the amount to 100, and then I set nice. I think I set the I animated the scale from about 10 frames, I think. So at 10 frames, I made the scale 0. Start the animation, moved ahead in time about 30 frames, and I made it back to 50. Right, so this way it looks a little nice, and then I can have its flicker. But I think for now, for the tutorial, I would like to keep it off. I'm going to switch the layer off. Let's try to create some glitches now. So when I'm working, I like my work to be a little quicker, so no motion blur. I go back to Plexus, and make this 1x, right? And let's try to create some glitches. So in order to create glitches this time, what I did was I created a new composition, and I called this composition glitch driver. I'm not sure how many of you guys know this technique, but what you do is you basically create a solid in this. I'm going to call this fractal. Go to FX and presets, type in fractal noise effect, apply it to the solid, make this noise type to block, and then change the transform, change the scale to like a very high number. So the scale width is going to be 10,000, right? And the scale height, depending on what kind of glitches you want, it can be very small, so very detailed glitches, or big blocks like so. So depending on what you want, you can go with either options, but basically this keeps your glitches very editable. So if you'd say you went for a very small detailed glitches, but they're not working out in the video anymore, you can just open glitch driver and make it blocky. So let's go for blocky for now, and then we'll see how things turn out. Okay, so I'm going to take this glitch driver, bring it down, and I'm going to disable the eyeball. So I'm going to disable its visual, create a new adjustment layer, bring it below boxing, rename this to glitch 01. Apply an effect called displacement map on it, like so, and take this displacement map layer to glitch driver, right? So the glitch driver that we made, and as you can see, we are having some distortion. So if I increase this max horizontal displacement to a high number, you can see what's going to happen, right? And you can see that we are having that we are also having some alpha problems, some black leaking into the scene. So one very easy way to counter this is to go to FX and presets, type in transform, and then apply it to the same glitch 01 adjustment layer, and then you can just increase the scale of this to 120 or 125, and as you can see, that thing just goes away, right? Now glitches have to be very small, awesome people. Like, they cannot last for 10 frames or 1 second. They have to last for like 1 frame or 2, or max to max 3 frames. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to press the Alt left bracket key to cut from this layer. I'm going to jump 2 frames ahead, and I'm going to cut from the right, so Alt right bracket, and there you go. That is your glitch 01 glitch effect. So if you preview this, you can see there's that one very fast glitch effect. I would say keep it over here, duplicate this, move this ahead like so, increase or decrease its values, right? And I think some blocky glitches definitely work out for this tutorial, for this effect. Put one over here, increase it, maybe go to transform and change its position of things to a different value. Just see how things work. One more effect that I added to the glitches that you see in the preview was that when the glitches take place, everything goes black and white. So very simple. On these different glitch effects or these different glitch adjustment layers, I applied a simple tint effect. Right, so if we just put this over there, everything goes black and white. And since it's only lasting 2 frames, it's only going to be here. So the sheer color is being maintained, but when the glitch comes on, it goes black and white, and it goes normal again. Then you just place it properly, maybe increase the frame one time over here, decrease it to just 1 frame, just see how things work. Maybe you guys will have to experiment and see what works best in which case. In some cases that 1 frame will be perfect, in some cases 3 frames will be perfect, and in some cases the glitch just doesn't work. Right, so you can see that okay, we are having having a good, very interesting effect. So maybe we can push this, and right at the end, what I did was I experimented. Go to the preview. Right here, what I did was I didn't go for a complete glitch. Instead, I reduced its opacity for the last glitch adjustment layer down to say 25. So it's going to look something like that, right? Position it right there. Now let's just see how things look. So in my opinion, we have created a pretty good, nice cinematic style title sequence using Plexus and some nice glitch techniques. Of course, you'll have to create more titles onto this, connect everything together with animating the null object for the camera, right? This doesn't look that bad, guys. So work on this a little bit more. Try to see the timing of all these glitches, and trust me, you'll have an awesome title sequence. So let's just see what we have made till now with a proper render. So I'm going to go to Plexus, make this 6x, switch on the motion blur, and one last time, let's just ramp preview and see what we have. So this is how our glitch title sequence looks right now, and I think the glitches over here don't work out very well. The glitches at the start look really nice. These glitches look really nice, but I think the first ones over here need a little bit work, but this is not that bad overall. So considering that we just made this in 1 hour or less than 1 hour, this looks quite impressive, guys. Here is how it looks with the optical flares added in. So this is how it looks with optical flares being added in. So I think the optical flares need a little bit of entry work. The entry part doesn't look all that great, but the technique awesome people has been explained. So I think we have made a very good title sequence here, and this looks quite interesting. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something today, and this was my tutorial on how to create a cinematic style Plexus glitch title sequence in Adobe After Effects. If you enjoyed, then please give it a like, subscribe to our channel ZenGen Learning for more such tutorials. See you all next time. Take care, everyone.